Hello, and welcome to another edition of Focus. I'm your host, Vernon L. Bolling. 40 years we've been presenting you Focus. We've been talking to various community leaders. We've been talking about different events. You name it, we've talked about it that affect the African American community. And for all those 40 years, there's only been a few people who've been connected with Focus. And every now and then you'll hear me talk about Tony. Well, he's very, very important towards the show, getting it on the air, edited, shooting it, and doing everything else. And myself, who's been hosting it. But from time to time, we try to have other people who come on and show a little interest in doing it. One of those such persons is Fatima Halim. Fatima is a household word in the Valley, Afrocentric, very connected to the community, and a lot of you know her. She's going to be presenting shows, and she's going to still bring you things that affect the African American community. So please, don't touch the remote. We're going to be trying to stay up with the times. This and more when Focus continues.
My husband was deployed in October of 2009.
After he left, everything just felt like it sank.
Just didn't really like life at the time.
The hardest thing was just trying to figure out a new routine.
When you're a military family, things like the arts really are extra here at ASU Gamage. The Arizona Lottery enables 200 military dependents to come to the theater 3 times a year. This is our way of saying thank you, and we can never say thank you enough.
My winning streak in life didn't begin with a ranch I'd always imagined. It didn't begin when I bought my very first horse, or with a 10-gallon hat I was thirsting for. It began with a hope and a dream, and of course, that wonderful winning ticket. The Arizona Lottery. You can't win if you don't play.
Hello, and welcome to another edition of Focus. I'm your host, Vernon L. Bolling. It's interesting. As long as we've been on, we've talked to a lot of different groups, and Social Security is one of them. But we haven't spoken with the Social Security Administration for 5 years. I don't know if I didn't think I would ever say that, because they have so much good information to give out and so much information that you need. But our friend Jim has retired, and we have a new someone who's in administration right now, and he's going to be our guest. So let me ask you a question. Do you know much about Social Security? Do you know what age you can collect Social Security? How about survivors' benefits, early retirement? All the questions and things that Social Security deals with. If you don't know those questions, or maybe there's some questions you may have or some information that you may need, I would suggest you hang around for at least a half hour and listen to us, because we're going to introduce not only someone who's going to be visiting with us, and hopefully we'll garner up a relationship with him, that he'll be coming back and giving us, every time something that's changed or something different, he'll be here to tell us a little bit about it. Jack, first of all, let me say thank you very much for coming and sharing this important topic of Social Security Administration with us. But let me start off from the very beginning. It's been about 5 years since we've had anyone representing Social Security. Let's start off and talk about what is Social Security. People might see a check and they're young, very young. They'll see dollars taken out for Social Security. When it started with me, I really didn't know exactly what it was about. But also, I know there's something called credits. And it wasn't until I got older and I started realizing that you have to have so many credits before you can collect Social Security. So maybe that would be a great starting point for us.
Absolutely, and you're welcome, Vernon, and thank you for allowing us to get our message across. It's some very good information, and there's so much information about Social Security. So many people that you talk to will tell you what they think about Social Security and what information they have, but it's good to be able to get our message out in this way. So when we talk about credits, we talk about a worker that has FICA wages, and FICA is taxable earnings when you work for an employer. You can also have taxable earnings if you're self-employed. Those would be your net earnings from self-employment. But the taxable wages are Social Security taxable wages. For every $1,200 a wage earner makes, that goes towards 1 credit for Social Security.
Okay.
And in a year, to get 4 of those credits, you would have to have $4,800, 4 times the $1,200 in taxable wages in order to get 4 credits for that year towards Social Security. And that's generally, when we talk about that, we're talking about not only retirement benefits, but also disability benefits and survivors benefits, which a lot of people don't even consider or think about, especially younger workers. We have, the statistic is 1 in 4 workers will become disabled sometime before they retire in this country. And that's 25%, that's a pretty high number. So our message is often check your Social Security statement starting at age 25. Social Security in the past mailed out a statement that would tell you how much your taxable earnings were each year, so that you could be tracking that and also see how much you could be eligible for if you became disabled or you had surviving family members if something happened to you. And the disability benefit, interestingly enough, is actually, you could qualify for that as a young worker if you were 24 years of age or younger with only a year and a half of work. You could qualify for that disability benefit if something happened, that severe enough disability came up. So the earnings statement that you may or may not have, depending on your age, or Social Security in the last couple of years had to stop mailing that for budget reasons, can be accessed online, and we can talk about a little bit how people can set up their personal account on our website and get access to their earnings statement so that they can see each year how much they've paid into Social Security and Medicare for that matter, and how much their benefit estimate is if they were to become disabled or they had surviving family members. And also, of course, important for most people as they reach the later years of their working career, their retirement benefits.
Before I go on, I want to just spin off a little bit on that answer you gave me, because you brought up an important point to me. And you said something about FICA. Now, if a person is self-employed, they're not having Social Security come out of their checks only because they're writing the checks. So they're paying their employees, they're taking Social Security out. What about the owner of the business? What can he do to offset Social Security, or can he put in the Social Security? What's it called?
Well, if the person is self-employed and they happen to be the business owner, they would be required to report their net earnings, and then they would be responsible for the full percentage of Social Security taxes based on those net earnings when they file their income taxes with IRS. So in an employer situation where we're talking about an employee's wages, then half of the Social Security taxes are the responsibility of the employer and the other half are the employee. But for self-employment, that works a little different. The self-employed individual or business owner, in your example, is responsible for the full, in this case, full Social Security taxes on his net earnings from his self-employment.
And that's how that would work.
Exactly.
Okay, so and once again, you can also find out this information online.
Absolutely. It can be found on our website, Social Security spelled out .gov, or just simply SSA for Social Security Administration .gov.
When should a person, at what age, and I know at 25, you mentioned 25, the statements were being sent out, but because of budgetary reasons, they will stop, but you can go online, and that's the website you gave us. You can go online information. But when should a person actually start concerning themselves about Social Security? And I know it's something that every check comes out, should be coming out. But when should a person start thinking about retirement? I guess maybe be the best way of putting it.
Okay. Yeah, for retirement benefits, most folks start to think about retirement maybe even as early as their 40s, or certainly once they get into their 50s. When we do a lot of our education and seminars, and when we want to get pre-retirement information to the public, we generally are dealing with folks that are in their 50s. But again, I'm in my late 40s and I'm already thinking about things, and I'm sure a lot of other folks are in the same boat. So when you're in that age group, you want to go, if the first stop would be, again, our website, and you would want to look under, if you go to our main website, there's a very easy to use the website. You go to the main homepage, socialsecurity.gov, there's a big blue banner, and you go to benefits and information, or learn, actually is what it is. I keep saying information, but it gives you the information, but it's learn. And then you can go to the retirement area there, and there's all kinds of information about planning for retirement. So one step before you get to that point that I highly recommend, and this is probably our biggest outreach campaign right now to educate the community, the thing that you would want to do is create a personal account on our website. And that personal account is called My Social Security. It's free to any member of the public. Anyone of working age could benefit from this account, because once you go in and set it up, you will have immediate access to your earnings record with benefit estimates, not only for retirement, but also for disability and survivors benefits. And that mailing that a lot of folks will get over the years, they're probably familiar with the Social Security statement that you get in the mail. Again, that was discontinued over the last couple of years and was picked up again this year, but only for certain age groups. And if you want immediate access to that, if you're speaking to a benefit planner or someone about retirement, you'll be able to log into your account and access that immediately and have that on hand.
Tell me a little bit about survivors benefits.
Absolutely. Again, a younger worker in his early 20s, just as one example, with as little as a year and a half of work, and when we talked about those credits, those are quarters, $1,200 gets would equal 1/4 of credit for Social Security benefits.
Okay.
That young worker with as little as 1.5 years of work, or 6 credits we would call it, if the wages were at least $1,200 for each one of those credits, could pay survivors benefits to children. So one of the survivors benefits, we have others, but the child benefit is one of the important survivors benefits, and that could be paid to a child that's under the age of 18, a child of the worker, surviving child of the worker that's under the age of 18. The benefit can be paid all the way to the age, up until the age of 19, if the child is still attending school full-time, and full-time attendance is considered to be 20 hours a week or more. And if the child has a disabling condition that's severe enough to qualify through Social Security, then the benefit can even be paid longer into adulthood, and as long as that disability had started before the age of 22. So that's a pretty extensive group of children and even adults with a disability that started in childhood, a pretty large group that can be reached with that benefit.
So, and if the main breadwinner is deceased or disabled, whatever, whatever applies, I guess the best way to do it would be to either go online or to go down to the Social Security Administration. I know you like to see everything done online, but sometimes, if you're like me, you like to, I like to talk to a person. That's just the way I am. I like to talk to a person, maybe go down to the office, and then they would probably help you and tell you exactly the things you need to do, forms that need to be filled out, and exactly what you have to do to start receiving the benefits.
Right, and I'm glad you made that point, because in this particular case, surviving benefits are not one of the benefits that can be applied for online on our website. So it would be critical. And I've seen cases where a lot of time goes by before the contact is made with one of our offices, but it would be critical to have the surviving family contact Social Security for these benefits. And the best way to contact us is to make an appointment, and you can make an appointment by dialing 1-800-772-1213. And again, that number is 1-800-772-1213. A representative can then schedule an appointment with the office that's closest to you. And we have, just within the Phoenix city limits here, we have 2 offices, 2 field offices. There are, in our greater Phoenix area, there are offices in Mesa, Glendale, Apache Junction, Casa Grande. We have a number of offices to serve the folks. But the survivor's benefit, again, is something that can't be applied for online on our website. Currently on our website, you can file for retirement and disability benefits, but the survivor's benefits cannot. And I should add one other thing about the survivor's benefits. We talked about children even for a young worker that's worked a relatively short period of time, a surviving child of that worker could receive benefits, but also the surviving spouse with that child in their care could receive a benefit. So there's not only child benefits, but that surviving spouse, and the spouse doesn't have to be a certain age like they would be for spouse or retirement benefits. They could be a young spouse that has those surviving children in their care.
Now, you said that survivors benefits cannot be done over the phone. Am I correct?
Well, actually, you would want to make a contact to make an appointment, and the benefit application could be done over the phone without even going to the office, or if the person prefers, as you said, to have a face-to-face contact with the representative for the application, they could do it in person as well. Either one is acceptable.
What if that person is disabled?
If the person is disabled, they absolutely would want to encourage them to make the appointment to do it over the telephone.
Okay.
And
so it can be done. I just don't want people who are disabled out there to get discouraged thinking they have to come down to the office.
No, no.
They have to.
In fact, we always offer all services, and in this case, since the internet application is not a possibility, we would want to do the either telephone or in-office visit, and we would offer them that telephone option if they were having difficulty getting into one of our offices. And in fact, a lot of folks don't realize it, but when that first contact is made with Social Security, that's a filing date that's in our computer that will be stored there for 6 full months. Even if the person was unable to contact us, they would still be protected as of that same date they first contacted us.
Okay, Jack, I'm going to take a quick break. When I come back, I want to talk to you a little bit about the age of being able to early retirement or maybe benefits, early collecting of benefits and things along those lines. I'm talking to Jack Burns, who's with the Social Security Administration, and we're just trying to go over some advantages that Social Security has to offer you and some things that you might need to know about before you reach that magic age of retirement or that age of collecting it. So don't touch the remote. We'll be right back with more Focus and the Social Security Administration right after these messages.
My husband was deployed in October of 2009.
After he left, everything just felt like it sank.
Just didn't really like life at the time.
The hardest thing was just trying to figure out a new routine.
When you're a military family, things like the arts really are extra here at ASU Gamage. The Arizona Lottery enables 200 military dependents to come to the theater 3 times a year. This is our way of saying thank you, and we can never say thank you enough.
My winning streak in life didn't begin with a ranch I'd always imagined. It didn't begin when I bought my very first horse, or with a 10-gallon hat I was thirsting for. It began with a hope and a dream, and of course, that wonderful winning ticket. The Arizona Lottery. You can't win if you don't play.
Welcome back to Focus. Let me reintroduce my guest, Mr. Jack P. Burns. He is the Public Affairs Specialist with the Arizona Social Security Administration. Jack, let's continue with our conversation. We've given a lot of information, but I think in the little bit of time that we have left, we should probably get into a little bit, as you were saying to me at the break, a little bit of retirement. The obvious question is, what is full retirement age and what is, I guess, early retirement? Right. If you can hit on that.
Absolutely. No, I think that's a great place to go. The full retirement age right now, most of the folks we're dealing with that are born between 1943 and 1954 need to reach age 66 for their full retirement age. And full retirement age simply means the age at which you can receive your full unreduced benefit. So there's no reduction to your benefit. So if we look at folks in those years that were born in those years,
baby boomers.
Baby boomers, exactly.
Okay.
1943 all the way up to 54, those years. Age 66, they'll get 100% of their benefit if they wait until that age. If they file earlier than that, they'll have reduction of their benefit. Now, how much is the reduction?
And what is the early age?
Right. The earliest age someone can file for Social Security, Social Security retirement is age 62. So at age 62, if you were to file, that same person were to file, they won't get 100%, they'll get 75% of their benefit. So we work from that 100%, and then we go, the earlier they file, the closer to 62 they get, the closer they get to the 25% reduction. So it's 25% reduction at age 62. Every month they wait and get closer to 66, the higher their benefit will be.
Can I, I'm pretty sure there's a time when someone has to collect at 62. I'm not going to get into that.
Right.
There's a need. There's a
Right.
need there
Absolutely.
for whatever that need is. Can I start collecting at 62 and then maybe 7, 8 months down the road, my conditions improve and I can go back to work and stop and then start collecting again, collecting my money again? So I guess I'm putting it on hold again,
Right.
and then maybe because I can try to work until I get full retirement. Is that possible?
It's absolutely possible, and it happens frequently. What Social Security asks is, the requirement is that someone, if they've started their retirement benefits and they're going to return to work, if it's over certain limits, they will have they will have a deduction, I should say, of their benefit. Their benefits will have to be held. The way this works is this. If someone is filing before their full retirement age, like we said, of 66, and they're starting to receive their benefits, if their benefits are higher than $15,480 in gross wages, or that also could be net earnings from self-employment, then they will have a deduction of $1 for every $2 they've gone over that $15,480. So I like to use examples. That usually works when I do my presentations. People will have an example to walk away with. If we had a person filing because they were 62 years of age and they wanted to file this coming year of 2015 in January, and their benefit amount was $1,000 a month, just an example, because that's actually that's quite a bit lower than the average benefit out there, but it's possible, $1,000 a month. If they were to earn $25,480 in gross wages with their employer, that makes them $10,000 over that limit that I spoke of, the $15,480. So Social Security would be required to withhold 50% of that, $1 for every $2 they went over, which brings us to, if you follow the example, $5,000. So there's $5,000 there that have to be withheld from that person's benefits before payment can be made. So their payment for January, February, March, April, and May, 5 months at $1,000 a month, $5,000 would be withheld. And then in June, they would now be able to be paid their benefit again. In June until the end of the year, they would get payment from Social Security. That's one example of how the work affects the benefits. Another way to look at it is, if you filed and were receiving benefits for some months, but decided to go back to work and your earnings were too high and the benefits couldn't be paid, those months that are not paid, so the Social Security benefits are not paid to that individual, will be credited back to that person when they reach their full retirement age. So how does that affect their benefit amount? Well, if they filed at age 62 and had 48 months or 25% reduction in their benefit because they filed early, all 4 years early, 62 is 4 years earlier than this full retirement age of 66, then those whole 48 months are reducing their benefit. But if they return to work some of those months and were not able to be paid their benefit, then the months that they were not paid will be deducted from that 48 months of reduction. So their reduction could be considerably less, and it will be credited back to them once they reach their full retirement age.
Do I have to pay taxes on my Social Security?
The Social Security benefits are taxable, but again, it depends on other income that the person has. Their overall tax liability is based on all of their income. So the Social Security, is it taxable question is difficult to answer without knowing someone's full tax liability.
Okay.
Right.
At this particular time, before we run out of time, and I've got one more quick question I want to ask you, is can you give us the telephone number again? Can you give us the website address again? And any other means of contacting you for more information?
Absolutely. The best way to contact us is our website, and we always encourage folks to go there, not only because they can file for retirement and disability benefits there, but also because it's such a great resource for planning for your benefits. So again, our website is Social Security spelled out,
Okay.
.gov, and you can also just go to SSA.gov, that's Social Security Administration. That'll get you to the same exact site. I should mention that for any Spanish speakers out there, they can even go to our En Español link at the top of the homepage, and it'll mirror that same site in Spanish. So for those maybe assisting relatives that speak Spanish, that's always a good resource. The other way that we can be contacted, though, is to call the 800 number.
Okay.
So they can reach us at 1-800-772-1213. You'll talk to a representative who can, again, make an appointment for you to either file the application over the telephone or in the office if that's what you prefer. And that conversation that you have with the representative to make the appointment is considered the filing date. So if you were not able to make your appointment, you're still protected as of that date for 6 full months for the application.
Is there, very quickly, one time better than others to call you? What's the best time to reach Social Security Administration?
That's a good question. We are available on our national 800 number. Because of the time zones, your call will be routed nationally all over the country. So we are available until 7 p.m. and that would be 8 a.m. until 7 p.m. And any business, any weekday. And as far as when the call volume is higher or lower, it's difficult to determine just based on.
I know Mondays are bad days. Stay away from Monday. That's all. I mean, you know, and afternoons are good. There is no magic question because I have tried, and it just takes patience. It takes patience.
Absolutely.
Jack Burns, thank you. But I need you to do me make me a promise you'll come back.
Absolutely, I'd love to. Thanks for having me.
We've talked to Jack Burns with the Social Security Administration. Up on the screen, I know Tony's putting the address, the website, and we want to remind you that you can get in touch with us as well. But we want to thank you for joining us today for Focus. We'll be back with more Focus, same time next week, same station. Please have a good week. We look forward to talking with you then and bringing you some important information. Have a good one.